Initiating operation. Keep your eye out for enemy movement.
Hey everybody, today we're taking a look at Ghost in the Shell Standalone Complex First Assault Online. Try saying that 3 times fast. This is a first-person shooter that's currently in early access on Steam that is eventually going to be marketed as a free-to-play game, but is currently behind an early access paywall that has been discounted and temporarily lifted for a Steam free weekend as of the recording of this video. And one thing that I want to make clear about the gameplay that you're seeing here is that it focuses exclusively on the Team Deathmatch mode, which is one of 3 modes currently available in the game. But having done a little research on the game in preparation to record this, I have learned that there are not only some additional PvP modes in development, but a PvE cooperative campaign mode based on the Standalone Complex anime storyline, which I'm not going to address beyond what I've just mentioned because the game in its current state is very much focused on the 3 PvP modes that are currently available in it. That being Team Deathmatch, a capture point mode, and a bomb planting / defusal mode, not dissimilar from something like Counter-Strike. So I think it's fairly safe to say that this game is, in a lot of ways, a pretty standard class-based, team-based first-person shooter experience based on what I've seen of it thus far. And that's not necessarily a bad thing, as it seems to be a fairly well-executed version of that premise. As you no doubt well know, there are many free-to-play first-person shooters currently available in the marketplace, so what are the things about this game that might distinguish it from other competing products out there? Well, for a lot of people, the Ghost in the Shell IP license is likely what's going to be the biggest distinguishing factor. The aesthetics, the character models, the special abilities utilized by the various characters, the audio including sound effects and music, and various other presentation-related accoutrements are really designed top to bottom to appeal to and push the buttons of fans of the Ghost in the Shell anime. On the positive side of things, I believe that the art assets in this game are very well crafted and very representative and true to the theme and overall presentation of the Ghost in the Shell aesthetic. And I certainly haven't seen anything here that has offended me as a fan of the series. However, I do believe that one has to approach this game understanding what it is, that being a very tried and true team-based first-person shooter, and as a result, the Ghost in the Shelliness of it is somewhat limited by being forced into the context of what is expected of this sort of game from a general design and mechanical perspective. When I first heard about and saw this game in action, I was pretty disappointed in the idea of a fairly generic shooter being used as the vehicle for a Ghost in the Shell license because the anime is, quite frankly, much more sophisticated than the gameplay of a first-person shooter like this could generally properly represent. And after having spent several hours with it, I still believe that to be the case. Fortunately, this game is actually quite fun to play, and if you were to take the Ghost in the Shell aesthetic away from it and perhaps apply a generic futuristic sci-fi aesthetic to this game, I believe that it would still be a pretty fun gameplay experience. So in certain ways, the Ghost in the Shell aesthetic simply adds to the overall enjoyment of the game, assuming that you can forgive some of the obvious concessions that are made to fit said aesthetic into traditional first-person team-based shooter gameplay. Of course, it remains to be seen whether the upcoming PvE component to the game will better address and accommodate the Ghost in the Shell aesthetic in the context of a cooperative team-based shooter. But as of right now, I can only judge the game on the parts of it that exist in its current early access form. The good news is that I do believe there is enough interesting going on here to justify this game's existence and even possibly justify spending a few bucks to get into early access, especially given the current discount to that paywall. But that's largely going to depend on your own personal preferences and what you're looking for out of a game and how much value you place on both a work in progress team based first person shooter and one that incorporates aspects of the Ghost in the Shell IP into its aesthetics. As a result, I would highly recommend that people take advantage of the free weekend that's currently in progress to make up their own minds about whether or not this is a game they'd be interested in dropping some money on to play early, or in lieu of that, waiting a few months until the inevitable free to play open beta commences. For what it's worth, for me personally, I think this game is pretty fun and enjoyable, and playing it during this free weekend has definitely put it onto my radar in a way that it absolutely wasn't prior to this. But I could certainly see how someone else could come to a different conclusion about it. As always, if you have enjoyed this video, be sure to hit that like button. If you'd like to see more videos from me in the future, be sure to hit subscribe, and I will see you next time.
Enemy cyber sentry spotted. Enemy nanogel armor caution, seeker drone approaching.
Nanogel armor ready for skill sync. Incoming grenade.
Bomb launcher approved for use.
Incoming grenade.
Chasing.
Watch your backs.
How many left? Get to pack ammo.
Optic barrier full force. They'll never see us coming.
Grenade incoming. Put me down. Changing mag. Cover me.
Enemy nanogel armor user detected.
Good work. That was an impressive assault.